back. It's Friday. Matt Hall is in the house. Matt, I'm just seeing your Facebook post. Cheers for joining us, mate. Vishal is here. Means it's book club. It's Friday. It's 10 p.m. None of us go out because we just don't have any social lives. We just stay in, but we expand our minds. Calcium's here. Never seen your name before, Calcium. Let us know where you're viewing from. Girly Whirly is in the house. Let's just give people a few minutes to join as usual. For those watching the replay, thank you so much for joining us on the replay. Let me just straighten this up a little bit. Get that, so I'm a bit more in the centre. There you go. My name's Ross. I'm an actor and a voiceover artist from Manchester here in the UK. Gemma Green is in the house, and I am obsessed with mindset and productivity and motivation and positivity and people getting further in their lives faster. Nina, hello, good evening, and just success in general, basically. And tonight we're looking at not just success but greatness. So I scope Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Friday is book club, where we choose a book for the month and we look at various chapters of it throughout that month for 4 Fridays on the trot. Barvu, how are we doing? Good evening. And you get a little bit of story time with me, where I will read you some sections out. You can go and get the book. Matt, hello. It's just said you've joined again. And yeah, you know, you get a nice gist for the book, and whether you actually want to go and buy it and you know, expand your mind through reading the rest of it. We've looked at a few awesome books so far. Evening Gemma looks at Greg McKeown's Essentialism. Check that out. You definitely want to look at that. We looked at Carol Dweck's Mindset, and tonight, for the second week, we're looking at my man Lewis Howe's The School of Greatness. Matt, I just saw your Facebook post saying that you just got your copy today. Lewis emailed me through the week. This only came out on the 27th. 2 days ago, I think on Wednesday, it became a New York Times best-selling book. It hit number 3 in the charts of the New York Times bestseller. So heart it up for Lewis. The boy did good. It's inspiring, man. It's really inspiring me to like go, God, you know what? One day I've got to do this. How amazing would it be to have a New York Times best-selling book? It would just be literally unbelievable. So if you've not got your copy, yeah, get yourself over to Amazon and you know, and get yourself a copy as well. Or if you don't know anything about Lewis, listen tonight, and I will. You'll find out quite a bit about his life in the chapter we're going to look at, which is chapter 3. There's 8 chapters in this book. Chapter 3 is called Cultivate a Champion's Mindset. So a little bit about Lewis. Lewis is a former pro athlete turned lifestyle entrepreneur. He had an incredibly promising athletic career in American football. He was an all-American sort of college star, I guess. And he had an injury. He tore his anterior cruciate ligament. It ruined his career effectively. He ended up on his sister's couch, sleeping, not in his own house, sleeping on his sister's couch, thinking, what on earth am I going to do? He was dyslexic, never really got on that well at school, and decided he would create his own school, the School of Greatness, where he interviews via podcasts some of the greatest minds in the world. If you've not checked his podcast out, check it out. It's The School of Greatness. You can get it on iTunes, and check out theschoolofgreatness.com as well. You can find out more about Lewis. So how's everybody's week been before we start? On Wednesday night, what were we looking at on Wednesday night? What was the Wednesday night scope about? We did one this week on Monday on sharpening the saw, and Wednesday we looked at Richard Branson, didn't we? The legend that is Richard Branson, and what we can learn about him from business that we can put into our acting careers. So let me know if you've had any breakthroughs this week. I had an audition this morning just for a commercial, for a WeBuyAnyCar.com commercial. It actually went pretty well though. I put all the stuff that I end up preaching on these scopes into it, and I think it went all right. I think, fingers crossed. You never know, but as always, commercials, it's just a cattle market. So let me know if you've had any auditions this week, or if you've been on any workshops. I know, Nina, you went to the Andy Morgan workshop, and let me know what you've been up to. Then we will dive in to the book. There's quite a few pages of what I read tonight. You're going to hear quite a lot about Lewis's life. And also there's quite a few American sports reference in this that us UK people, if you're watching the UK, you might not get, but you're going to understand the gist anyway. You're going to understand the outcome, even if you don't understand the terminology that's used. And then at the end of this scope, we're going to look at an exercise that I want you all to do this weekend that I've mentioned before on other scopes, and I keep saying, oh, we should do a scope on that. Well, tonight we might as well just talk about it at the end, and I'll set that assignment for you guys to do and see if it makes a difference in your life. Some of you guys might already be doing this, but I don't think enough people, even if they're doing it, do it consistently. People will do this for a few days at a time, forget about it, come back to it a month later, do it for a few days at a time, forget about it, come back to it a month later. So we're going to talk about that. So chapter 3, guys, highlighted it in blue before. It's a bit dark to read, but chapter 3, Cultivate a Champion's Mindset. So like always, when I refer to I'm talking, this is Lewis's book, so it's about him, it's not about me. And we'll stop at various points and get your feedback. Save your questions till I stop, because if I'm looking at the book, I can't see the screen, so I'm going to miss your questions. So, chapter 3. Had a few commercial castings this week, but not in anything back. What were they for, Gemma, before we start chapter 3? And how do you think they went? What hacks did you put into place that we talk about on these scopes that might have got you in the zone before you went in there and you know, did your thing? Power phrases, guys. Power phrases are key. They're essential before you go in. You know, before you go into to audition. I've told you that one before. Great one that I sort of say to myself. You know, all I need is within me now, and I have the courage to see it through. And you just repeat that 10 times before you walk in, and poof, you're in the zone, man. I tell you. A few. Wow, I need your agent, says Nina. Yeah, we'll all have a word with Gemma and get the inside scoop on who you rep by. If you want to make it public, let Nina know now. So, chapter 3, Cultivate a Champion's Mindset. Michael Jordan, you're going to recognise these names. Serena Williams, Michael Phelps, Tom Brady, Janet Evans, Michael Johnson, Mia Hamm, Michael Schumacher. There's a lot of Michaels, but you get the idea. Kim, good evening. We're just starting to read, Kim, so you just caught us in time. It says, what is it like inside the minds of these champions? What's it like to be one of them? You know, from a distance they appear superhuman or super lucky, or both. They get all the calls, all the money, all the best parking spots. The ball always seems to bounce their way. It's like they're living in a different world than the rest of us, and in a way they are. I am plugged in, Kim, thanks for the reminder. The USB cable is plugged in. It says their world is crystal clear. Gemma's signal keeps cutting out. Well, hopefully your signal, let me know if anyone else is experiencing that. It looks pretty stable from where I am, but let me know. Sometimes Periscope does this. But it's just for the people who are kind of watching. My internet connection should be quite stable, so let me know. Type yes if you can see me clearly and it doesn't keep cutting out for you, just so that we know. And there will be a full replay of this as well, guys, after the scope, and also one that I upload to YouTube, so you will be able to re-watch this if your connection isn't great and you keep you keep missing little bits. You can always check it out. Yep. So it looks like we're good, Gemma. What have I told you about cheap internet, Gemma? I mean, come on. But yeah, fingers crossed, Gemma. If you X out, so if you just get out of the scope and then come back in, you might get a better connection to Periscope servers. But fingers crossed, it is just their servers. It's not my connection. Otherwise, I'll be onto Virgin Media like this. So anyway, back to these great mindsets, right? It says it seems like they're living in a different world. You know, than the rest of us, and in a way they are. Their world is crystal clear. It isn't foggy and filled with self-doubt like ours can be if we haven't clarified our vision, battled through adversity, and developed the proper mindset, the champion's mindset. Now, we talked about vision in the last book club last Friday, where we went through the exercise where you literally wrote down the vision, your visualization of your perfect day. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. The champion's mindset is all about focus, flow, belief, and emotional intelligence. It's the complete dedication to your vision of future achievement. The way I've learned to describe it to myself when I do visualization exercises, which you'll learn at the end of this chapter, it's not one we're going to look at, but if you get the book you can do it at the end of this chapter, is a unique headspace that allows you to focus all your energy on putting yourself in the best position physically, mentally, and emotionally to be successful. Don't misunderstand when I say the headspace is unique. I don't mean that only some people are capable of having it. I mean that the vision for greatness that defines your mindset and drives your effort is unique to you. I also mean that it's a mindset different than any other you will experience in your life. I've tasted what it's like inside the mindset of a champion. In fact, most of us probably have. We just didn't know it at the time. I didn't realise it the first time it happened to me. I just thought I was doing what needed to be done. I was simply focusing on the task in front of me completely and totally. It turns out that that's a major component in the mind of a champion, and I learned it on the end of a 15-foot pole and a 40-meter runway. So we're gonna listen to when Lewis first experienced the champion's mindset. Then I want to find out off you guys if you've ever been in this kind of zone and you've ever experienced it. Save it till I finish this though, so I don't miss it. So he says, it was the early summer of my senior year in college. I'd just spent the last 6 months stretching, pushing, pulling, lifting and willing myself into the best shape of my life in preparation for the NCAA Division III Track and Field National Championships in Waverly, Iowa. Held over 2 days, my event, the decathlon, would put all my hard work to the test. After breaking 3 ribs in the second football game of the season less than a year before, I had come back stronger than ever. So talk about turning adversity into strength, guys. I thought that injury had permanently derailed my dream of becoming an All-American, but the decathlon had breathed new life into that dying dream, and if I finished among the top 8 competitors, that dream would become a reality. When the competition began, I was pumped with adrenaline and feeling strong. On the first day of the 2-day event, I did well in some events and not so well in others. I entered the second day of competition right around 9th place. And I knew that I had to excel in the third event of the day, the pole vault, in order to reach the All-American podium. So he was 9th place. He had this one event and he needed to get in the top 8 to become an All-American athlete. It was the pole vault. So in the pole vault, each competitor has to clear an opening height to score points. You get 3 attempts at each height after that, but if you fail to clear the initial height, you get a 0 for that event, which would essentially eliminate you from placing in the top of the competition. On my first attempt at the National Championships, I opened at a height I cleared comfortably in practice, 12 feet. I was confident in my approach, ran down the runway and leapt so high over the bar that I could have cleared 15 feet, but I ended up grazing the bar on the way down and watched it roll off the stand. So if you've watched pole vault, you'll see that. They go over the top, they clear it, and you think, yeah, they've smashed it, and then bang, they'll just clip it or something on the way back down. So that's what Lewis did on his first attempt. No worries though, I still had 2 attempts left, and I knew I'd make it on the next one. On my second attempt, I tried to run harder than before, and in the process, overstretched my footing and missed my mark. I stopped running about 2 feet ahead of my ideal takeoff spot and tried to compensate by lunging forward. I went straight up 15 feet in the air and fell straight back down on the runway, missing the bar completely. Suddenly, the third and last attempt took an unexpected weight and pressure. I was only 22 years old, but I felt like my entire life had come down to this moment. Make it, and I have a shot at being an All-American. Miss it, and my 22 years, along with the grueling 6 months of training to prepare for this moment, would be for nothing. That's how I felt. My dream of greatness came down to this. Have you ever had any experiences where you've been like, I mean, I guess, you know what, for actors, it's very similar, that like this kind of feeling. For most, there's only one role I went for earlier this year, and I went through 3 or 4 recalls to get it, and I had a 7-hour audition. It was with a really famous writer. It was a BBC 3 drama called Don't Take My Baby that aired earlier this year. A guy called Jack Thorne, BAFTA winning writer, wrote it. We had I went through a few auditions at BBC London, then we had a whole day down at RADA, 7-hour workshop, and it was like that last kind of audition where I knew I had the last scene. I was paired up with like the last person of the day. Everyone was there, the director, the producers, the casting directors, the writer. This was one of those moments for me. I was going, right, if I get this is my first like really big lead role in a drama where it would all be about me, and I'm like, I've got to absolutely smash this. And suddenly it took on a whole new kind of weight to go, this is it, kind of like I need to kind of perform here. So let's see how Lewis did. Have you ever experienced that kind of, I guess it's pressure but in a good way, it's clarity, I guess. It's not necessarily like, oh no, if all this goes wrong, I'm having, you know, this is all going to be a nightmare for me. No one's going to die, but it just, you know, suddenly clarity becomes big, and you go, actually, you know what? I know what's on the line here, and for that reason, I need to get clear. I need to get in control. Let me know if you've had an experience like that. Let's see what Lewis did. Okay. He said the pole vault is all about strength, technique and timing. For a decathlete, it's often a make or break event. In 1992, remember in last week's book club, we looked at Angel Martinez, the guy from Reebok. Angel Martinez, old company Reebok, ran a giant advertising campaign back in 1992 in the lead up to the Summer Olympics in Barcelona, centered around American decathletes Dan O'Brien and Dave Johnson. Kim's had a job interview like that. Well, we'll hear about that in a minute, Kim. He tells how it went. So Angel at Reebok set up this huge campaign around Dan O'Brien and Dave Johnson, 2 decathletes. Okay, they were called Dan and Dave, like that little thing, like we would have, what are those two ice skaters called? Who were the two famous ice skaters from the UK? Torval and Dean, so they're a bit like that, Dan and Dave. They were two of the best decathletes in the world and favoured to win medals. There was only one problem. Dan didn't qualify for the Olympics at the trials. Want to guess why? He no-heighted on the pole vault, missing all 3 attempts. Dan and Dave became Dave and all those other guys. Unfortunately, Dan didn't make it, so Lewis is thinking, wow, this is happening to me. My coach looked at me with a calm confidence through her piercing eyes, and strangely, instead of panicking, I began to visualise back to when I was 6 or 7 years old, sitting on the couch with my dad watching football together, and him explaining to me all about the All-Americans we were seeing and what it meant to become one of them. The sense of honour and purpose above the athletic achievements stuck with me. It cleared away my current confusion and distractions. It lifted the lead weight from my feet. I was aware not only of exactly what I had to do, but also of exactly who I was and what I was capable of. That moment put me into intense focus as I sprinted down the track with the pole vault, hitting my mark and launching myself over the bar with ease. Relief and joy hit me simultaneously. I went on to make a personal best, clearing over 14 feet that day in the pole vault, and I finished strong in the next 2 events. I became an All-American that day. Okay, so going back to that audition, like I said, it was a weird thing. I didn't panic and go, oh God, this is all down to this is kind of like what my career so far comes down to. It just gave me massive clarity. And I honestly, guys, I've never performed better, whether it's been at an audition or on stage or on telly or for real, better than I did in that audition. Needless to say, I didn't get the part, okay? But the writer, Jack Thorne, was so happy. He wrote me a part that didn't even exist at that time, and he wrote me a small part into the show because he was really impressed with what I'd done at the audition. And that all came from clarity and focus of getting myself into the zone, and it was a weird kind of feeling. It wasn't panic or worry or anything like that. It was just a champion's mindset, I guess. So Lewis says, I've felt versions of that laser focus a handful of times over the past decade in many areas of my life, besides sports, including business and relationships. It's addictive, yet some of us have never felt it. We may not know that it's absent and what feats we're missing out on because of it. Some of us haven't even come close to feeling that state of peak performance and excellence. I never performed remotely close to my best before that day in the pole vault. That isn't to say I didn't do well other times, but the difference between being good and being fully in the zone, truly in the headspace of a champion, is a crucial ingredient in greatness, whether we're talking about sports, business or life. And it was that day, lying on the vault mat, looking up at the bar, and still in its blocks 12 feet above my head, that I realised the power of accessing the zone for all areas of your life. I'm calling it laser focus now, but I didn't fully recognise what I'd been channeling in that moment until I spoke with 2 amazing people, Steve Kotler and US Olympic gymnast Shawn Johnson, both fully tenured professors of greatness as far as I'm concerned. So before we go on to talking about what Steve and Shawn talk about, anyone had that kind of laser focus? Do you think you felt it, or do you think, like Lewis says, maybe you haven't felt it yet, and you're just developing that mindset now, so that you feel that that soon you're getting clearer every day on what you're doing, and the fog that he talks about at the beginning of the chapter is kind of lifted. Let me know, or give us some hearts if you felt it, or just it's just interesting to see, because it's not something that I consistently feel, but it's in times of kind of where it's like, right, it's now or never. The stakes are high, and you're like, right, all the mucking about goes out the window. It's like, exactly what you've got to do, and that's what you're going to do. So let me know if you've ever felt like that in an audition or a job interview, or anything when it comes to your life. Maybe something involving your kids, or something that's just going to give you that massive laser focus, or at least just say something so I know people are still on the scope, just so that it's not frozen. Hopefully you can still see us, Gemma. I think I'm getting there to experience it more often, says Kim. It's not something that, and I don't think you need to, when we're reading this, need to go, oh God, I've never felt like that, so therefore I'm never going to feel like that, or I'm not good enough to feel like that, or anything like that. It's something that you need to cultivate. The whole chapter is called Cultivating a Champion's Mindset. It's not called pulling it out of thin air, pulling a champion's mindset out of thin air. This is something that, through hopefully stuff like all this mindfulness that we're doing through these scopes, and the exercise that I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, you're going to be able to develop. I spoke to somebody today on the phone who had a major breakthrough this week, and it was something that I knew that they were going to get to. I knew they were going to get to. I've known them a few years, and I could see what they needed to do, and they could kind of see what they needed to do, but they just weren't necessarily doing it, and I couldn't force them into doing that thing. But this week they made, like, I don't know, a 10-mile leap in their mindset, more than they probably made in the last 2 years, and it just happened in 1 week because everything clicked into place. Barnett, how you doing? Barnett's on here. Give Barnett some hearts, because someone tried to break into his flat before, and Chris Stone, director, Barnett is one of Chris Stone, the director's neighbours. Chris Stone chased the burglar or whatever it was away. Barnett, I hope you're alright, son. Nobody got into your apartment. Feels like I start to head in that direction, but then my focus is shifted by negativity. Yeah, well, that's just recognising that is great, Kim. You've got to recognise that. Is that not putting more pressure on yourself? In terms of what, Gemma? In terms of what? Going right. This is it. Like I said before, it wasn't a pressure in terms of if you don't do this, you're failing. It was more of a what you need to do to succeed. So it's clarity. Some people, will go into an audition not really having a clue what they need to do in order to succeed. They might go, I'm not prepared enough, so I don't know the script well enough, I don't know the backstory of my character, I don't know what he does after this scene, I've only looked at the one scene in my script that I've been given, I've not read the whole thing, and they have this fog around everything. When you get the clarity, you go, right, I know where my character comes from, I know where he's going, I know what I have to do in this scene, I know what I've got to get across, I know what this director wants, and this is kind of like an opportunity. It's not right place, right time, remember. It's opportunity meets preparedness. So it's going, I am prepared to take this opportunity, and I know what I need to do to deliver. If I don't deliver, then it's fine, but I know what I need to do in order to do it. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not putting pressure on myself, because if anything, it's easier when you're in that mindset, because you're like, actually, you know what? I can do this. It suddenly becomes achievable because you're like, I get it. I actually understand what I've got to go in and do. It's a really strange feeling. I've only felt it a few times. When it's really important, I crumble, says Girly Whirly. Well, that's kind of what people normally do in that situation, is they project consequences of failure that they may never go through. Okay, and this is really important. This is something that you need to be conscious of. So what we do, because we have this negativity bias as human beings, we were born with our brains wired for negativity. Back in the day, I said this before, when we are chased by saber-toothed tigers and we're cavemen and we're literally flight or fight, we need to know about everything around us that's negative. That's why we love negative news. Negative news sells so much, and that's why, because we think if we know everything that can possibly go wrong, then we can protect ourselves from it. Unfortunately, by visualizing all the stuff that could go wrong, you put your body through turmoil, because your body doesn't know that stuff hasn't happened yet. So if you're going into an audition thinking of the consequences, that and the stuff that people do it on X Factor all the time. Oh God, it annoys me. Before they go in, they go, I just don't want to. I sound like Keith Lemon. I just don't want to let me gran down, and I don't want to let me mum down. And I feel I'm just letting the whole family down if I don't do this. And I'm shouting at them, going, oh my God, no! You've got to visualize before you're going in that all that's going to go right. Everything is going to go well. Not all the things that could possibly go wrong, because just for a second, what if they don't go wrong? Why don't you just come to terms with the fact that it can go well? Things can go your way if you focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. You get what you focus on, and focus on what you don't want, you're going to get what you don't want. Focus on forgetting your lines in an audition or singing a song, and you will forget your lines. Okay, focus on putting a great performance out there and relaxing into it, and you'll put a great performance on. Okay, so it's like this whole thing about this champion's mindset is like this clarity. It's not putting pressure on yourself. It's not saying if you don't do this, you're a terrible person, you're not talented, you're not good looking enough, you're not good enough. It's actually just going, look, this is a great opportunity. I feel prepared for it, and I know what I'm going to do. Let's look at Sean Johnson and Stephen Kotler. So Sean's a US gymnast, and Sean, who was Sean? So two amazing people. Sean Kotler. Louis doesn't tell us who Sean Kotler was, but Sean Johnson. No, John. Stephen Kotler, Sean Johnson is a US gymnast. Okay, both fully tenured professors of greatness as far as Lewis is concerned, though. That's all we need to know. So, oh, here you go. Stephen Kotler is the author of The Rise of Superman, Decoding the Science of Ultimate Human Performance. Maybe we'll look at that on a book club. To say that his book is one that I had been waiting for my whole life is legitimately an understatement. Growing up, a skinny white kid in Middle Ohio, this is Lewis, all I ever wanted was to figure out what advantages I could get as an athlete to raise my game to the next level and perform at my peak in every sport. I wanted to know how to get in the zone like the All-Americans and world champions I admired, or as Stevens refers to it, the flow state. Now you might have heard of this, people banter this word around, flow. I'm in flow. Well, what does it mean? Okay, flow, Stephen told me, is an optimal state of consciousness where we perform our best and we feel our best. In flow, we are focused on the task at hand that everything else vanishes. We're so focused. Time either speeds up, so 5 hours will pass like 5 minutes, or it slows down like that freeze frame effect in a car crash. Your sense of self, your sense of self-consciousness disappear completely, and all aspects of performance, mental and physical, go through the roof. Who's ever been enjoying something so much? It can be something completely unrelated to your career, where time has flown by. You might be working at something, you're decorating. You know, if you're really in the zone, you're like, right, I'm going to be, you know, I love what I'm doing because I can see this room taking shape. For me, it's, you know, it will be developing my website or graphic design, you know, designing stuff or editing podcasts. I get into this state because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I become very highly productive, particularly if I've got a coffee on hand, and I will look at the clock and suddenly it's like, wow, 2 hours have gone by and it feels like 10 minutes. Let me know, or give us some hearts. I can see some hearts coming up now if you feel like that, or what exercises or activities might trigger that state for you. That's flow. You know where you're in flow when you feel like that, and time will just fly by. Or equally, where time, you know, really slows down. That's that moment before you walk into a room to do your business as an actor, in either to go on stage. You'll be at the wings and you'll know you've got your 5-minute call or whatever, and you're stood in the wings and you're waiting to go on, and suddenly everything kind of slows down. You're like, right, I'm getting ready, I'm focused, and I'm going to go on. And you know, you're running that first line a little bit in your head. I've got to remember my first line as I go on stage. And then you get on and bang, you can do a 2-hour theatre performance and it feels like 10 minutes. That happens to me when I'm doing the radio show. Yeah, so Kim's radio show. Oh, I got your message, Kim, by the way. Yeah, we should definitely do something on the radio. Sorry for not replying. What a mental day. I've been filming Bulletproof Actor, guys. It's looking good. But yeah, you know, there will be activities in your life that just feel so easy and time just flies by. That's flow. Okay, so you know what that feels like. We've all experienced that at some stage. Lewis says, yes, that's exactly how I felt as I sprinted down the runway on the track in Waverley, Iowa, drove the pole into the pit and vaulted myself over the bar and closer to my dream. Talking with Stephen, I realised I was wrong about one thing though. This wasn't my first experience with flow. I'd had a similar experience on the football field as a sophomore 2 years earlier in a game where I just felt invincible, unstoppable. It was my record-breaking game. Cheers, Kim. Forgive me for that. So let's listen. This is the last little experience we're going to go through with Lewis, just a page and a half on this football game. So this is before that pole vault. Now he's realised he's felt this before. This is quite amazing. This is the stuff that we won't get as UK people, but you'll get the gist at the end, right? Because I remember in the first quarter, they put one defensive back on me. Before I knew it, there were 2 on me, and then there were 3 with the safety shading over. Eventually, it felt like the whole team had been assigned to cover me. So these are all defensive guys, just basically, you just stay on Lewis, right? So eventually, it felt like the whole team had been assigned to cover me, but it didn't matter how many people they put on my side of the field, what they did or what they tried to do. The ball was still coming my way, and I was catching every one of them. I felt like one of the Green Bay Packers wide receivers. It's a wide receiver. And the Green Bay Packers, they're a team, obviously. Felt like one of the Green Bay Packers wide receivers in the Monday Night Football Club game against the Oakland Raiders in 2003. I remember this one well, not. When Brett Favre played the day after his father died. They caught everything no matter where he put the ball. That was what it was like. So that guy, man, his dad died there before, got on the field, obviously had a blinding game. Maybe that put him in state, put him in flow. The funny thing was, we actually lost the game by a touchdown, 42-35. Don't even know what that really means either. And I remember, but they lost. And I remember at the end of the game being more depressed than anything, feeling like I didn't catch enough balls or get enough yards. I had no clue what my stats were or what I had done, yet everyone was coming up to congratulate me as we were taking off our pads in the locker room. Man, you had an unbelievable game. How many catches do you think you had? Well, I had no idea. I thought 8, 10 maybe, which was a good game for me, or any wide receiver, but I didn't want to think about it. So finally I hit the showers, beating myself up, thinking, what could I have done better? How could I have been a better teammate? I was the last one out of the locker room, just wallowing in my own misery of this loss, and my coach came up to me and said, just wanted to say congratulations. You actually broke a world record for the most receiving yards in a single football game. 418 yards. 418 yards on 17 catches, including 4 touchdowns to be exact. Yep, I was in a flow state, the kind that champions live in and greatness results from. To be honest, I was a little in shock at that moment. I was happy to hear the news that I accomplished something that had never happened before in the history of college football, or any level. But I also felt responsible for our loss and was preoccupied with figuring out how I could have done things better. It was a bittersweet moment, but one I'll always remember, not only because of the record, but also because I felt like Superman in that flow state, and I knew I wanted to feel that way all of the time, on and off the field. Who's had what they thought was a shocking audition and ended up getting the part? I've had that. It's happened to me about twice, I think, where I've gone in and gone, oh, that could have gone so much better. But I must have done enough for them to see enough, and then you get the role. You know, Lewis thought he had a terrible game. Well, he thought he had a good game in terms of his performance, but they lost, and he's beating himself up about it. Little did he know, he'd smashed a world record out of the park. Let me know if you've experienced that or anything like that, where you thought you've not done a good enough job, and you've done it, maybe your driving test or something. First role I got, I thought was my worst ever audition. Amazing, Matt. Nice one. Well, there you go. Obviously wasn't. So then what you can do in situations like that is also go back and reverse engineer what you had done in that audition, and then you'll find some things that were definitely done right that you can then do again in future auditions. You'll obviously pick up on the things that you didn't think you'd done very well at, but look at the things that might have scored you massive points, that were enough to convince that director or producer to give you the role. So the chapter goes on, guys, for quite a lot, talking more and more about this state, and then it ends up with some exercises. So the end of the chapter, he says, you might be asking, how do you do it? Okay, so a lot of people in here are going to go, okay, well that's all right, but how on earth do I get into this state? Okay, what's the process? Like Sean Johnson, thousands of champions have turned inward to develop these positive attributes through visualization, meditation, mindfulness, and a focus on cultivating emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, I think, is the key for me here. They've learned to tap into a powerful belief that they can succeed, that their vision is clear, their obstacles are surmountable, and their path to greatness is a reality. I've developed a number of great exercises to help you with each step in the process: visualization, meditation, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. Do these and the building blocks of a champion's mindset will begin to stack themselves. So Matt, I know you've definitely got the book, so you'll see at the end all of these exercises that go on, and Lewis has these at the end of every chapter to help you bring into your life everything that you've read about within these chapters, within the 8 chapters of the book. So the first exercise is visualization. And we've got one here on meditation and breathing. We did a scope. No, I wrote a... did we do a scope? Yeah, we did a scope, didn't we, on meditation? Headspace, which is a great free app if you want to get into meditation. And it's not sitting there, by the way, guys, going or anything like this. It's really, really kind of modern and cool, and it's not out there and woo-woo. You know, it's really about centering yourself and just really acknowledging yourself, noticing the way that you're feeling. But Headspace, you get that app on your iPhone or tablet or Android. It's free. You can do something called Take 10, where you do 10 minutes a day for 10 days. It takes you through the whole process to kind of open your mind up to it, and then from there on you can subscribe to Headspace and get lots of different guided meditations, so it's really easy to do. So meditation is a really good one. And then what I want to look at is mindfulness. And then there's a exercise on emotional intelligence and being present and knowing yourself. So you can always do these more exercises, these other exercises, if you buy Lewis's book. I would highly recommend it. But I want to look at exercise 3, guys, which is mindfulness. Okay, and I spoke about this before, and it's something that I do, and I know it sounds a bit weird and a bit out there, and when you first start telling your mates you do it, they might think you're a bit mental. Since that scope, I regularly do Headspace, which is really great. It's awesome, and there's some meditation on Headspace, SOS meditations, where you might have a little minor meltdown on something, and they're sometimes just like 60-second, 3-minute, you know, meditations that you can get on demand from Headspace, and I'd really recommend those as well. If you're walking from the train station to your audition, get an SOS Headspace on you know, on your iPod or your iPhone. You know, listen to it before you go in. It'll just set you in a really good place to be your best, really. So it says exercise 3, mindfulness. If you don't already have one, and I want you all to do this weekend, and let me know if you already got one, okay? I want you to start a gratitude journal. I want you to write down your thoughts and express gratitude. Each night in your gratitude journal, be mindful of what's really working for you and what isn't working. Take the time to jot down everything you are proud of and excited about, and acknowledge yourself for these amazing things you've done. Then write down what you are committed to doing to move those things you are proud of forward. For example, so Lewis says here, today I closed the biggest deal of my life. I'm proud of myself and it's a dream come true. Tomorrow I will continue to bring my product or service, whatever it is, message to the world to help more people. So I've said this before, I write down 3 wins for the day, 3 things that have gone well, and then 3 anticipated wins for tomorrow. So this is a very similar thing, but look at what you're grateful for. If you've not had any big wins for the day, or even small wins or whatever, it doesn't matter how your day's gone, you'll always have things to be grateful for. Write down at least 3 of them every single night, but please do it at least tonight, Saturday and Sunday, so on Monday we can talk about it and if it's affected you positively, because it will have done. Next, okay, so once you've done that, it says next, write down all the things that you reacted to or that weren't effective and failed to get you the results you wanted. Look at what was missing from you in those moments. Patience, love, courage, confidence, etc. What are you committed to creating, and who are you going to be moving forward in those kind of moments? So first of all, you do all the things that have worked well for you, all your wins, you know, all the things you're grateful for. Then you want to do all the things that might not have gone that well. So for example, and this is what most people don't do, today I didn't close the sale. What was missing was that I didn't have the confidence in my product, and I was too pushy about the result of the sale instead of showing my care for the potential customer. I wasn't committed to being in a relationship with the customer. I will be connected the next time to understand their needs and wants instead of focusing on the result I want. So in your acting career, you might go, today I didn't perform well in my audition. What was missing is I didn't have the patience with the casting director because they'd ran an hour over at commercial casting, and by the time I'd gone in, I was really lethargic because I'd been sat there in the waiting room an hour, and really I was just in the wrong mindset, and I'd let myself get annoyed at that because I was late for another appointment afterwards. Next time, you know, I will not book anything within 2 hours of an audition, you know, and I will concentrate more on creating a better, you know, relationship with the casting director and everybody in that room, or just wherever it would be. You know, you can always find where you faltered, but not a lot of people like to admit that, and they don't write it down. They particularly don't admit writing it down. You're going to do that a lot in Bulletproof Actor, so get used to it, okay? So we think about these things in our heads constantly, but rarely do we ever speak them out loud or put them down on paper. Verbalizing and writing down these thoughts allow you to be aware and mindful of what you are creating on a daily basis and see what's working and what's not working in your life. Over time, you'll create a record of what has worked and what has failed, what you've done to make things better, and what you have or haven't done that has made things worse. You'll spot patterns that will blow your mind. So even if you don't see results right away with this mindfulness exercise, recognize that you are doing the work to make results happen in the near future, when you will be ready to see and accept them. So do that. Give me some hearts and give me some yeses if you're gonna do it. Okay, get a notebook or get an app. There's a few apps. I use one on my iPhone called Day One Journal. That's what I use to do this. But there's another one someone told me about the other day called My Wonderful Day or something like that I'm going to check out. I think that's more geared up for this kind of thing, and it's got some motivational quotes in there as well. I'm seeing hearts coming through. People are going to do this, and you know, it can be private. You don't have to tell anyone you're doing it. And when you do tell people you're doing it, yes, definitely says girly whirly. Awesome. When you do first tell people you're doing this kind of stuff, they'll look at you and go, really? But then you just explain, look man, at the end of the day, when I'm having a bad day, if I'm sat on the train and I'm not sure about something, I can just scroll through Day One Journal and look at like the last 30, well, you know what, the last however many days I want, you know, I've been doing this for about a year. yeah, I like the idea of doing this, says Kim. I can look back at all these amazing things that I am grateful for and instantly change my state. I can go from feeling down and a bit beaten up on myself, or, you know, am I ever going to do this, am I going to do that? You know, recently I've been going, oh my God, I'm telling all these people I'm doing the Bulletproof Actor, and it's, I mean, it's such an amazing course and a big thing for me. But am I ever going to finish it? Because I keep wanting to add more to it, and I keep doing this, and then I'm thinking, oh, you know, oh, what's going on? And then I just look back through my thing and I go, wow, look at all the things I was grateful for. The day I wrote Unit 1, the day I wrote like Lesson 4, Unit 3, and, you know, the day I wrote the last page in Unit 5. You know, all the things I'm like, wow, look, let's just turn around and look how far I've come. I've not just walked a mile, I've walked 1,000 miles to create this product. I'm so grateful for all the milestones in the way. Of course I'm going to keep on going and, you know, getting this product out to you guys. So you end up building up a huge amount of stuff that you can look back on and just be really proud of and grateful for. And also equally, if you do it like Lewis has done it, you know, all the things that you actually go, right, okay, well, these are things that haven't worked for me. And you might look back 6 months and go, oh, look, that wasn't working for me back then. But now that item that was in my wasn't working for me list has now transferred over to my now working for me list. So brilliant, I've smashed it, I've overcome that obstacle. I think writing stuff down and just keeping a record of everything really makes you appreciate everything that you've got and everything that you've done and how far you've come. Because we're very, very eager, like we said on the scope where we looked at chasing the horizon, to constantly be living between where we are and where we want to be. We never really live in the moment enough. We're constantly living in the gap between where we are and the perfect us, the perfect where we want to be. And that means you're putting off fulfillment indefinitely. You can't live in the gap, so you need to bounce out of it. And gratitude is a massive way that's hugely effective in bouncing out that gap very quickly. So that's Cultivating Champions Mindset, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've got 2 more weeks. We've got the rest of November really, but I think it's 2 Fridays or so on Lewis's book. December, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm in LA for 2 weeks in December, the start of December, but I'm going to try and scope from LA because it's only going to be 2 p.m. there and it's 10 p.m. for you guys, so I can do it in the afternoon, which will be nice. But we're still going to look at Lewis's book for another couple of weeks, and you get more grateful the older you get. I bet you do, Nina. Absolutely, I've noticed that. I've noticed that myself. So many things that, you know what? So many things that I used to value, I used to care about in my early 20s. God. They're just not important. The things that used to impress me back then, they're just not important. I think, you know, I don't know whether you still continue to grow up and how you evolve, but a bit of both, Kim, work and play in LA. But I, you know, from being my early 20s when I thought I knew everything, to mid 20s when I realised in my early 20s I didn't know everything, and then I thought I knew everything, to 30 where I realised that I didn't know anything when I was 24, even though I thought I knew everything, to now where I feel that, you know, I'm the strongest, wisest kind of version of myself I've ever been. I don't know whether, you know, hopefully this will just continue over the years, Nina, and, you know, when I reach, God, 40 soon, 7 years, and 50, 60, 70, you know, we'll still keep evolving. But yeah, do exercises like this, guys, and I don't think we cannot evolve. So there you go. You can screenshot this if you want, so you can get Lewis's book. It's a New York Times bestseller now. It was number 3 in the charts this week. I'm most grateful for my good health. It's everything. It is, honestly, in part of Bulletproof Actor, we look at some external factors. So Bulletproof Actor, Unstoppable Confidence, Infinite Success, guys, my mindset course that's coming out in December. I'm filming it now. It's awesome, but part of the initial part of Unit 1 looks at the external factors around us that most people are unaware of that actually feed into, well, crush our success cycle by feeding us with negativity, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. And this isn't all woo-woo stuff, this is real stuff based in real life that you're probably not aware of. There's 6 factors that I've come up with that I think really contribute to crushing your success. And one of those, Nina, is the news. And I go on in the course to talk about the stats of the news. On average, there are 17 negative news articles for every 1 positive news article that is published. So if we are waking up in the morning and reaching for our iPhone and looking at Sky News, like I used to do a couple of years ago, we're effectively just feeding ourselves, flooding our brain with negativity before you even got out of bed. Which is going to just crush the belief in your potential. You're going to create a scarcity mindset, and, you know, you're really going to struggle to believe that the world is a great place and that you can do, you know, nice things in it. The only news you need to know, Nina, like you just said then, is that you are healthy, your friends and your family and your loved ones are healthy. Above and beyond that, most other things are irrelevant. You know, as long as you know that everybody is well who you care about, and you are well, you know, then there's very, very little else that you need to concern yourself with. So I agree that the older you get, the more grateful you are for your health. For me, with my eyes, so I've got a degenerative eye condition, and for me, touch wood, you know, it is degenerative, so it will, you know, get worse gradually over time. But for me, I'm so grateful every day for my eyesight, you know, just to go that this is something that one day I can't rely on, you know, 100%. So the older you get, the more you're holding on to it, going, please, hopefully everything's going to be fine. But you just got to keep focusing on what you want, and you know, and going out and striving for that. So definitely, the older you get, the more appreciative you are. So on next Friday's book club, let's vote on it now, guys. So there's 8 chapters. We've looked at 2. We looked at the first chapter, which was creating a vision. Tonight we looked at cultivating a champion's mindset. Next week we can have turn adversity into advantage, develop hustle, so in terms of work and hustling for your stuff, master your body, practice positive habits, build a winning team, or live a life of service. So what do you want? Turn adversity into advantage, develop hustle, master your body, practice positive habits, build a winning team, or live a life of service. Vote now, or I'll vote for you, basically. But let me know what you think will be most useful to you. And we'll look at that. I forgot I've got fruit tea tonight. As always, doesn't taste as fruity as it should be. Develop hustle, says Nina. That's a good one. Anyone else for develop hustle? Anyone else want to know how they can develop their hustle? Work harder, be more productive, go out and get what you want. Let us know anyone else who wants that. The other one that sounds quite good is turn adversity into advantage. I think that's quite cool. We've all been there. Master your body. Might not be able to do that on a scope. Can't do exercises. Gemma, awesome. Gemma's 1 + 1 for developing hustle. Yeah, practice positive habits, build a winning team, and live a life of service. So it looks like developing hustle then, guys. So we will talk about that next Friday. If you've not got Lewis's book, get it on Amazon. You can get it for about 15 quid. It's hardback, but it's awesome. It's really good, and it really complements the mindset course that I'm bringing out in December as well. There's nothing that's kind of covered twice. If you get this and you read it, it's just going to set you up for totally smashing the you know, the mindset course that I'm bringing out. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have been watching this on the replay, thank you very much. I appreciate you as well. If you are watching the replay on Act on This, then you'll see a link to Lewis's book below the video player. And you click on that, it'll take you straight through to Amazon, so you can order that and you can get that in your life. Buy it for your friends for Christmas. So, you know, if you've got somebody who might not be feeling very great right now, you know, get yourself a copy and get them a copy as well. And check out Lewis's podcast, School of Greatness, on iTunes. And so thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Go and get in your gratitude journal now before you go to bed. It's 47 minutes past 10. It's been a long one, guys. It's been nearly 50 minutes tonight. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Go and get your gratitude journals done. Do that at least tonight, tomorrow night and Sunday. After that, I know you'll be hooked. But I want you to do it at least for these next 3 nights, because I want to talk to you about it on Monday. You can tell me what you know, what effect it's had on you. Thank you, Nina. Good night, and good night all. I'll make sure I can end this. See if I can end this scope without breaking my iPhone again. There we go. We've got the stop broadcast button up. So take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Tweet me. It's @RossAGrand. Let me know what you're up to, and I will see you guys on Monday for some more motivation and mind hacks. Bye for now.